Due to recent YouTube updates, comments and likes have become more important than ever. I beg you to please consider doing exactly that. I read every comment that you write me and answer whenever possible and or need. I'm also open to suggestions for future content. My videos are created without the use of AI, so please support your fellow human content creator against clanker slop. Thank you. The road ahead was beautiful, calm even. You really needed that after such a long time at uni. You had just finished your major, and sure, you were deeply in student debt with a degree that was mediocre at best, but the open road was all you needed right now. Ironic, really. I always wanted to be a trucker as a kid. Always a little tomboy. Your gaze shifted to the side of the road. When was your tomboy death anyway? It was as your thoughts were wandering that suddenly your attention caught a strange little booth. First you thought this was just a mere lemonade stand, though then again, you were in the middle of nowhere, so that didn't make any sense. You stopped your family van a few hundred meters away from the booth, and looked up at the lamp that had been broken since your dad punched it as he kept turning it on to play your Game Boy Color during night drives. You don't exactly know what compelled you, but you sighed, spun the wheel and drove back to the booth. Something about it had bothered you. And now as you approached it, more slowly with more attention, you realized what the problem was. The moment you realized the thing was covered in blood, you sped up. You were almost there anyways. The van shrieked as it came to a halt, and without hesitation you stepped outside. A strong metallic scent was carried over by the wind going through the fields. Your eyes fell upon the sign. 1 click, $1. Whatever that click meant, your attention was ripped away as you heard a mumbling from the bloody stall. Hello? The moment you said that, you rolled your eyes. Yeah, this is horror movie start. A groan echoed from the stall, a mix of response to you and the pain whoever was hurt was feeling. A mix of response to you and the pain whoever was hurt was feeling. You had a choice here, you knew that. You could still just turn around, leave, pretend this never happened and have your tranquil drive. But instead you decided to be a good Samaritan. With the understanding what you were about to see was going to be ugly. You stepped onto the dry grass, head tilted forward, as your imagination began playing music of anticipation. And a gory sight was revealed to you. A man in what used to be a pastel-colored suit with light pink hair lied there, in a terrible condition to say the least. Blood was practically flowing out of any orifice. Nose, ears, eyes, mouth, stab wounds, bruises. A strange, uncanny feeling came over you that was difficult to resist. It was fear, as your mind imagined the pain this man was going through right now. The fact you had just a little meditative drive as your future was stretching out before you in a way you couldn't quite fathom, and the fact that, frankly, a human arm should not bend like that. Oh God. You did the mistake of looking at his face, as your gaze fell upon a red, bleeding hole. A sick feeling overcame you, and it took you a lot to not outright vomit. But his leftover eye met yours. It was bloodshot with desperation and determination. He mouthed words but probably felt too weak to speak. You blinked, realizing the choices you had before you. You exhaled until there was no air left in your lungs. A gurgle came from the man. I'll call an ambulance. Those were the first words you managed to muster. Your fingers scrambling for your phone, dialing the emergency number without even thinking. You didn't wait for the full exchange, just blurted out the road, the stall, someone bleeding out, and the voice on the other end promised help was coming. The phone stayed open as speaker as you turned, rushing back to your van. You flung open the passenger door, reached under the seat, your hand closed around the old blanket your dad had left there years ago. It was supposed to be for emergencies, but really, it had only been used for you when you dozed off during nightly drives as a kid. The fabric smelled faintly of dust and old detergent, but it was warm. You grabbed that and a half-empty bottle of water rattling in the cup holder. Clutching them tight, you turned back towards the stall, heart pounding, every instinct screaming at you to not look again, but knowing you had to. You knelt down next to the man, following the instructions of the lady on the phone. The phone pressed awkwardly between your ear and shoulder. On the other end, the woman spoke in a steady tone, telling you what to do step by step. Your hands shook as you tore the blanket into strips, fumbling to press them against the worst of the bleeding. It was all so much blood, so much, and you had no idea where to start. Every move just felt wrong, but you forced yourself to keep going, repeating the woman's words like a prayer. Find the biggest wound, apply, firm, steady, pressure, don't let go. You pressed down hard on the side, only to feel something give beneath your palm. The texture was spongy and wrong, and his whole body jerked as a groan tore out from him. The sound froze you in place, bile rising in your throat as the sick realization hit. You weren't pressing on muscle. You were pressing on shattered bone. I moved my head. I'm sorry, you stammered into the phone, pulling back, searching desperately for a safer spot. The voice guided you again, slower this time, telling you to stay calm, telling you it was okay to readjust. You pressed down higher, careful, wincing with him each time he shifted under your touch. Seconds blurred into minutes. Your breaths came fast and ragged as you fought the urge to gag at the smell and the heat, the stickiness clinging to your hands. All you could do was hold steady and whisper over and over that help was coming, that was hopefully coming, that he wasn't alone. And as you tried your best, tried keeping from doing anything wrong, the man finally forced a smile. It's okay. His voice was faint, almost a gurgle. Huh? You barely recognized that he was trying to talk. I'm just glad there are still some good people in this world before I go. You shook your head quickly, panic flickering your chest. Don't say stuff like that. You aren't going anywhere, got it? His lips twitched into something like a grin, faint, weak, but stubborn. I'm Sir Harvey. He gulped a glob of blood to clear his throat. Arvington. Nice to make your acquaintances. Your brows furrowed, your eyes burning. Was he delirious? Or was he actually trying to comfort you, even like this? The way he looked at you made the answer clear. He was trying to give you strength, even while he was the one bleeding out on the ground. I'm... Your voice cracked, too tight to raw. I'm not letting you die, Mr. Harvington. You'd better remember me later, okay? His chest rattled with a shallow laugh that turned into a cough, but still he whispered back, Deal. And then, faint in the distance, a siren's wail cut through the evening twilight. It was days later. You had gotten a call. After all, you had given your information at the secretary in the hospital and at the police. So it didn't surprise you Harvey picked up your number. You had complimentary chocolates and a get-well-soon card. Your mom forced you. After hearing the story and how you described him, she couldn't help herself. One of the reasons you never had male friends was your mom dotting them like they were going to be your future husband. Or, well, future grandchild maker. Which you still found really gross of her. Honestly, as you were holding him, you never thought he'd make it. But now that you walked out the elevator into a wide, sterile hallway filled with people, and moments later stopping before room 404, you felt proud? You felt pride? Did that make you selfish? Room 404 was a single-person room, so this VIP treatment already meant that the guy was loaded. Still, you stood before the black door with the only thought of, please don't be a creep. You sighed helplessly, feeling even more selfish and stupid. Okay, I can do this. You groaned before finally placing a hand on the handle and entered. The room was white, almost angelically so. It wasn't for the sleek technology, that is, and the artistic wooden finish of the room's back wall. A panorama view window was open, letting the curtains flow in the soft breeze. Overnight it had rained, so now there was actually a little coolness coming inside. Harvey's upper body was covered in bandages. You weren't sure about anything below his navel due to the neatly placed blanket. His head and right half of his face were covered in bandages as well, only the occasional stray hair poking through. He had been staring at a small DVD player when you walked in, and what was clearly the middle part of the first Shrek movie was quickly paused by him. Oh, it's the Good Samaritan, he said. His lips twitched. He tried to smile, but deep inside he was too hurt to muster it fully. Yeah. Your voice sounded a bit hollow, but then he finally smiled, tilting his head. Come in. Gulping, he stepped forward until you stood at the foot end of his bed. I didn't know if you, wanted something? Your voice became weaker with every word, as you realized there were no flowers or anything really in the room. Did you not have family? You held the chocolates awkwardly in your hands like a kid caught sneaking snacks into a classroom. What I'm trying to say is, I got you these, you said finally, placing the box on a little side table. Courtesy of my mom. She thinks every man I talk to is auditioning for a husband role. Is this awkward? Should I leave? This is awkward. I should leave, you thought. But you nonchalantly rolled your eyes as heat was rising in your cheeks. You stood tall. Harvey chuckled and then winced slightly at the movement, a hand brushing his bandaged side. Well, I'd better be on my best behavior, huh? He teased. His voice was playful, or at least trying to be. He glanced at the chocolates and then back at you. So, Good Samaritan, good chocolatier. You're setting a high bar. You snorted before you could stop yourself, a small laugh bubbling out as you sank into the chair next to his bed. Don't flatter me. I got a big head. Your hands fiddled with the card, the one your mom had insisted on, pastel letters scrawled with "Get well soon," in an embarrassing cheer. It felt pointless, even more pointless than the chocolate. And still you placed it on the tray too, hoping he wouldn't really read the tiny heart sticker he'd snuck on the... You placed it on the tray of his bed, hoping he wouldn't read the tiny heart sticker your mom had snuck on the envelope. For a moment the silence felt heavy, but then Harvey reached slowly and carefully and plucked at the corner of the chocolate box, though failing at it thanks to his damaged hands. Mind if we... You nodded quickly, opening it for him, peeling the ribbons aside and flipping the lid. Inside was a neat assortment of shiny, wrapped truffles, like treasures. He picked up one, awkwardly, and wrapped it clumsily, with one good finger, and popped it in his mouth. A low hum of satisfaction followed, muffled through the chocolate. Okay. Maybe your mom's onto something. This might be true love. He grinned and you burst into laughter, the sound easing the tightness in your chest. Minutes blurred as you unwrapped pieces for him, feeding one to yourself every now and then. At one point you nudged the tray closer, but your elbow caught the side of his beds instead. The bump jolted him, his shoulder stiffening as he let out a sharp hiss. Your hands flew to your mouth. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. But Harvey just breathed through it, then shook his head faintly. It's fine. You didn't mean it. Besides, I'll milk it for sympathy later. His grin returned, softer this time, and you exhaled in relief, laughing weakly. You found yourself studying him. The pink hair dulled, and the bandages, the lines of exhaustion on his face, the stubborn spark in his good eye that refused to go dim. He was alive, after everything, and somehow he was still joking. But after a moment his gaze turned thoughtful. You know, I wasn't at that store because of some shady deal. He shifted slightly under the blanket, choosing his words lightly. I'm well loaded, as they say. Comes with its curses. I just wanted to help. Booth said one click, $1. So, be a good Samaritan, give something back to the community. Be a little further down the side of the road, you know. Be nice to someone who drives by. His voice tightened, almost bitter. Someone decided to take full advantage of it. You frowned, leaning closer. They almost killed you for just trying to help? Harvey's jaw clenched under the bandages. Yeah. Not letting them get away with it. For a moment his tone was dark, hard as steel. Then he looked at you again and the edge softened. But that'll come in a few months. After my recovery and after the guy has been caught. For now, I'd rather focus on the chocolates and on the person who kept me alive long enough to still be here. Your chest tightened, a warmth blooming through the tension. You swallowed hard, words catching in your throat. I couldn't walk away. Quietly you added, even if I wanted to at the start. I mean, you were hurt. You are... You shook your head, unable to finish, but you seemed to understand. His hand moved, slow but deliberate, until it rested lightly over yours. The contact was fragile, but grounding. And for a long moment neither of you spoke, just the soft hum of the hospital machines filling the silence. Finally, he whispered, voice low, almost shy. I don't want to sound cliché, but meeting you like this, maybe it wasn't all bad luck. You felt your lips curve into a smile despite yourself. Yeah, that's dangerously close to being romantic. He laughed, quiet and hoarse, then let his head sink back into the pillow. Oh, as you can see, I'm a risk taker. Your heart pounded as you leaned closer, instincts tugging you forward until your forehead almost brushed his. He didn't move away. Instead, his lips tilted into the faintest of smiles. And then they met yours in a gentle kiss. It was soft, fleeting, more promise than passion, but it was real. The kind of kiss that said, "We survived. Maybe we can start something out of this." When he finally pulled back, Harvey exhaled like he'd been holding his breath forever. "See, your mom's right. True love." He chuckled, eyes half-lidded but shining. You laughed again, cheeks burning and squeezing his hand a little. "Don't push your luck, Harvington." But deep down you knew. He already had. Hey, you reached the end of the video. That makes you part of an exclusive club. Our secret password is Cheap Thrills. Put the secret message in your comment below to tell fellow members you watched the video until the very end. Lastly, before I say goodbye, I would normally shout out my channel members. However, due to losing monetization, I currently do not have access to both channel memberships as well as a list of previous channel members. Nevertheless, I'm eternally grateful to the channel members I used to have, and in the case memberships get reinstated, I hope I'll see you again. Thank you for watching.